All right, what is up, guys? VV back with another video. And in today's video, we're going over Gear 2. We're going over the second, path, if you want to call it that, the second form, whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to call it Gears because that resonates with One Piece players and One Piece fans with Luffy's Gears. So today we're going over Gear 2. Okay, this is Part 2 of 7, Form 2, Makashi, okay? So real quick, let me go over this intro again. I'm just going to summarize it this time. You can read if you want to. This is just based off of my experience, guys. Okay, the statements I'm making here, they're going to be broadly generalizations to help out newer players and even just average to intermediate players get better at the game. If you are an advanced level player, please give us your insights. Tell us what you think in the comment section below. If I missed anything, help me out. Okay, last but not least here, for the intro portion, this series will be focusing on the One Piece TCG. Okay, yes, a lot of the stuff I'm talking about will apply to all card games, all TCGs, but we're going to be focusing on One Piece. Okay, so the 7 gears of improvement here, I'm always going to have this at the beginning of every single one of the videos, and I'm going to recap real quick, very quickly over what we've been on before, right, or what we've already been over, and it's only been one so far. So, last video we talked about knowledge and memorization. That will be your foundation. That is your foundation to getting into this game and getting good at it. Make sure you have a strong foundation, okay? Gear 2 goes closely in hand. They go hand in hand, Gear 1 and 2 do. Gear 2 is all about experience and repetition, okay? And yes, if you can get good enough at this, you'll kind of start to develop what I would consider like the equivalent of a Conqueror's Hockey in this game. Again, just to resonate with the One Piece fans in the One Piece universe. Okay, so let's go ahead and just dive straight into Gear 2. This is all about experience. You're going to learn about sequencing. You're going to learn about playing the game under pressure. For those who have not played the game yet, you're going to have no idea what I'm talking about. Well, have you ever heard of getting like butterflies? Or, you get like cold sweats, things like that. That's kind of what happens in a real game. You get under pressure and you get nervous. You get the shakes, right? You kind of get shaky. Your hands start shaking. You're like, oh, I don't know why I'm so nervous. Well, that's just natural. Okay. That's you working out all the kinks and everything in your mind. And it's all about developing almost like a Zen state where it's like, okay, I'm ready to go. I don't care who I'm playing against. I don't care if the person I'm playing against on the other side of me is like the best player in the world or the worst player. I need to be able to have my emotions in check and my nerves in check so that I can actually make the proper decisions. So let's go ahead and get straight into this. Just like with every gear, I'm going to try and break it down into a beginner level, into an intermediate level, and into an expert level. Just 3 little stepping stones you can get to. Okay, the beginner level. Now, and I should say this, I probably should have mentioned it in the first one. Most people will probably sit in the intermediate zone for a long time, okay? For a very long time. That's where a lot of people sit. Expert level is that's for the very top performing players, right? And we'll talk about that as we go on. So don't worry if it's like, oh man, I've been intermediate for like 3 or 4 years. Okay, that's fine. Like whether it be across all card games, you know what I mean? Like this idea, like, oh, I've been intermediate for a few months even, right? Because One Piece, at the time of me recording this, One Piece TCG is not exactly an old game. It's only been out for about 1 year now. So like, oh man, I've been an intermediate level One Piece player for about 5 months, 6 months. That's not a big deal. that sounds like it's like you're on par to keep getting better and better. I would stay. Don't get discouraged. And that's a lot about what this Gear 2 is about. So let me go and read the beginner real quick. Dry flip your deck. Okay, so you need to have some type of structure deck at this point, right? Dry flipping is a term used for players who are essentially alone, right? So say I'm alone at my house and I have no one to play the game with. I have no friends or family members who want to play the game with me. That's not a big deal, and it's not going to stop me from getting better at the game. So what am I going to do? I'm going to take whatever deck I'm using, even if it's just a structure deck, that's fine. You got to start somewhere. Or even if it's just a hodgepodge of cards, that you put together from a bunch of packs, that's fine. Shuffle it up and do what's called a dry flip. A dry flip is essentially where you play yourself. You play as if you're playing against someone. You don't have to care about what this imaginary person is playing. You're just going to play each turn as it comes up, and you're going to get a feel for how the deck plays out. Okay, that's what a dry flip is. Okay, next you're going to get some games in with some friends. You do need to play with some friends, and we will talk about some good options on how to do that if you don't have anyone in your local area. Hang tight, guys. There's no substitute for experience. Okay, there is no substitute for experience. So just like there's really no substitute for knowledge or experience. But the idea is this: you can't just sit there and watch a stream to get better. Yes, it can help you. That can help you. But if you don't actually get the reps in yourself and get the experience in yourself, you cannot get better on an individual level. Your knowledge might go up, by watching streams, but your experience won't. Okay, so learn how the game flows. What is sequencing? What does that even mean? And learning how to control your nerves. These go hand in hand. Sometimes people get nervous and they stop thinking about how they need to play the game and they make a play mistake. Okay, that's part of being a beginner. That's part of learning a new game. That's fine. Do not be upset. Do not be discouraged. You need to be determined after that. Don't go discourage mode. Go into determination mode. Okay, I am going to, I'm going to prove everyone wrong here. I'm going to get better and better and better. These guys think I'm bad at this game. I'm going to change that, because you might be bad right at the beginning levels. That's fine. Don't be upset with that. Embrace it and get better. You have to start somewhere, and humility is a good first step, a good first building block. Okay, so learn how the game flows. What is sequencing? Sequencing, by the way, I should talk about that later, but I'll go over it a little bit now. Sequencing is basically how you determine you're going to use your main phase. This goes back to Gear 1. You'll see how every single gear is a building block. They are in the exact order they're in for a reason. Gear 2 and experience, you need to know the game terminology. You need to know certain things about the game, or you can't get any better. If you don't know what's going on, you have to know how the game works first. Okay? So, now that you know how the game works, in Gear 2 here, it's about putting that into practice. Okay, should I attack with my character first? Or should I tap my stage first? Should I play an event first? Or should I swing first with my character and attack? Can I even do that, right? That's where the knowledge comes in. Am I allowed to do that? What can I do? Who can I attack into? Things like this, okay? So, and then you're going to learn how to control your nerves. Like I said, that's a big deal, getting ice in your veins. That's when you get to the intermediate and expert levels. Okay, a great way to get some easy experience in is by playing on the OPTCG Sim, the one-piece trading card game Sim. We'll talk about that at the end. Don't worry, that is a real thing, and we can get to that. Okay, intermediate level. So now you've gotten in some games, right? You're comfortable with playing the game. You might not be good yet, but at least you're comfortable with playing the game, and you're kind of, a lot of people, this is where a lot of people, they get hooked, right? Or it's like, oh man, I just want to play some One Piece. That's a good place to be at. Now it's time to take place in some tournaments. Okay, once you got, and don't worry, yes, your nerves are going to get you. That is normal. That is completely natural. Your nerves are going to get you at first. You're going to hear about players that are really good at the game already. You're going to see players that you might know are good at the game already, right? And that's okay. That's fine. You don't need to worry about your record in the first few tournaments you enter. Did y'all hear what I said there? I made sure to write that. It's right in the middle of the screen here. You do not need to worry about your record in the first few tournaments you enter, even the first several tournaments you. And hey, to be honest, guys, once you get to a certain level, you don't care about your record anyway. Like, yeah, it could be frustrating if you're not winning games and you're on a losing spree, but you really don't care, right? Especially at local tournaments. But newer players, they want to show they know how to play the game, and they get discouraged when they lose a bunch of games. Don't get discouraged, okay? Next part of this intermediate here. Your expectations need to be low as far as winning goes. That will come in time. For now, just focus on improvement. You're at the intermediate stages. You're getting better and better and better. You need to get the reps in your, under your belt. You need to get all the different experiences you need to get under your belt. That's it. You need to experience everything. Okay, I know I said that word about 10 times. I refuse to even say it again. No, I'm just kidding. But you need to get the reps in. You need to keep going. Okay, then you might, it depends. Some people probably don't hit this level. Okay, because in Gear 1, the expert level can be acquired by anyone who wants to learn what to do. Like, that is something you can literally learn. Gear 2 does get a little more picky, where guess what? You might not ever hit an expert level of experience. Okay, this is the expert level of Gear 2 is, you know, you're either winning or topping basically any local tournament that you enter. Okay, the only step up from there is to go to the major tournaments. Now, I do think you can reach expert level without going to major tournaments. You don't have to go to major tournaments to reach this expert level of experience. Not everyone has that amount of time, but some people could argue that, yeah, you do have to make it because it is a very, very different atmosphere. It is a very different environment. You know, even the difference between a 10-man tournament and a 20-man tournament is a different feel. You start getting into 50-player tournaments and above, now you're dealing with just, you know, the highest level of experience you can deal with. Okay, and especially when people have put down money on it, now they're playing very cutthroat, so to speak. Okay, so now let's go into a few things here. How can I get into this? Okay, you know, all this is nice, right? All right, the beginner, intermediate, and the expert level. Now, how do I get into it, right? I actually want to do this. I want to go through with it. I'm a beginner. How do I get to the next levels? Well, first of all, even if you are a beginner, make sure you take a look. I know that's a crazy long file at the top there, that address or whatever. But definitely write that down. Maybe I'll put it in the comment section or in the description of the video. That is where I download my, you know, One Piece TCG sim from. And it updates probably every month or so, every 2 months or so. So, you know, you have to keep it up to date. But we'll talk about that in a second. And in fact, I'll just show you real quick. This is it. This is like the front screen of it. From here, you can go to the deck editor. That's going to be good to help look at all the cards. That'll build on your Gear 1 knowledge. You can solo versus yourself in this. You can multiplayer. The settings and stuff you can mess with later. That's going to be up to you to figure out. I won't go into a whole tutorial on this. Okay. After you do that, that'll be a great way to get some games in, right? Remember what we talked about with a beginner. Dry flip or get in some games on the OPTCG sim. Okay? That's going to be good for getting in reps. Now, don't get ahead of yourself, okay? There is it's kind of a meme in the One Piece universe, or the world of One Piece, like the players, the scene, the community of One Piece, that the players that you run into on the sim, they're not necessarily the best players in the world. There are a lot of new players, but that's perfect for what we're trying to do, right? That's okay. But what I'm trying to warn you about is if you think like, oh, I'm beating everyone I play on here, right? My record's like 10-3 or so, or like, you know, 10-1 or something crazy. That's good. That means you're going in the right direction. But go to a local tournament before you get, you know, too ahead of yourself, right? Okay, so next up, in order to go to a tournament, you're probably going to need to download this yellow font here, this app. So www.bandai-tcg-plus.com is this app you see on the right side of the screen where there's like this phone over here. Most tournament organizations that I've played in do require you to have this app. Okay, so that's your next step in getting into the intermediate level. After you've gotten some games in and you're ready to play against a lot of players, you know, to see how good you are and to get better at the game, this is your next step, is to download this app. This is number one, right? This is number two. Number one is getting the sim. Number two is definitely getting the app. And then last but not least, for the people who are like, you know what, I've been playing the game for a while. I'm winning a lot of my local tournaments, or I'm getting like top placements in them. I want to try something bigger and better. Okay, well now it's time to go to the One Piece website and take a look at the intermediate and competitive level stuff. Competitive would be the large scale stuff, as you can see. I don't know how good the resolution will be on YouTube, but competitive will get you to the really big stuff. Okay, and there's good information on this website. If I didn't stress enough in the first video, let me stress it now. This that EN stands for English, en.onepiece-cardgame.com. This is a great resource. They have the cards on here, they have products, they have release dates, everything like that. Rules, card lists, and event information. And notice there's even a for beginners tab right here. Right? And they have all the multiple languages and stuff. This is a great resource if you're trying to get into TCGs. Okay, so that's about it for this video. I'm not going to linger on too much longer. Gears 1 and 2 were very boring. I do understand that, and I apologize. We got to get the easy stuff over with first. Gears 3 through 7, I think are going to be a little more interesting and a little more fun to deal with, okay, or at least to talk about, because let me just talk about a little bit in the end here. You know, this video's over if you're done with hearing about the experience portion, but I will give you guys a sneak peek into Gears 3 through 7 if you want to hear it now. Okay, development, production, and management. I'm going to be talking about this in depth as we get into each one of these gears, because mid-range, aggro, and control, these are three archetypes, right? What is an archetype? The archetypes in this case are generalized areas of the game. Like the mid-range archetype is a specific kind of deck. Aggro is a specific kind of deck, and control is a specific kind of deck. And guess what? Each one kind of has their own personality attached to it. Aggro is more about, okay, I'm going in and I'm going to be aggressive, and I'm going to set this tone of the game where I'm going to punch you right in the face, right? I'm just going to run you over. That's the idea. Now, it doesn't mean you have to be, you know, Hulk smash. You can play in a sophisticated way, but that sets a certain tone for the game. But then Gear 3 right above it, the mid-range style, that's much different. That's more of the, you know what? I hear what you're saying there. I see you're going to go real fast, but I'm just going to develop into a very strong board state, and I'm going to win that way. And I'll go into more details, like I said, in each one of these videos individually. And then last but not least, you have the management side of things, control. Control says, you know what, I'm just going to play at my own pace completely. Mid-range kind of plays at its own pace as well, especially in this game. But control says, hey, I'm just going to do what I want, ultimately. And I'm just going to, whatever you play, I'm just going to try to answer it. And then I'm just going to drop down some late game monsters. And for most people who are listening to this probably know, aggro is more about the early game. Mid-range is more about the mid game, right? And control's a lot about the late game. So again, we'll talk about that in detail. That's going to be a lot of fun. I do thoroughly enjoy talking about the rock, paper, scissors, you know, trinity of game design and of game balance. Excuse me. Gears 6 and 7 is going to... We're going to go off the beaten path a little bit. We're going to talk about individuality and personality, and basically, like, what are you trying to do as a player? What are your ambitions? Are you trying to be I call it like a pro tour level player, like basically a pro, or are you trying to just get better at your locals? Are you more of a, you know, are you trying to win at all costs? Or do you really just not care about that and you just want to have fun and play whatever deck seems interesting to you? Right? That's where this is going. The Gear 6 and 7 are very much about, like, okay, what are you trying to accomplish? Okay, and now let me see if I can help you get there. Right? That's kind of the idea. Or maybe not if I can help you get there, but at least kind of, you know, help you identify your personality, and you can go from there. And we'll talk about the beginner level, intermediate level, and expert level, and what advantages each one of these has. Like, for example, the Joker is going to be, he's a jack of all trades. So if he's a very competitive player and he wants to go winning tournaments, okay, well, he'll just pick the best deck in the format and he'll go from there. And he's going to use his Gear 2 mastery and his Gear 1 mastery. And then he's probably, you know, above average with Gears 3 through 5, so that he can play any deck he wants and do very well by just playing the strongest decks in the format. You see what I'm saying? And then Gear 7 with innovation, that's more about, like, okay, if you're a competitive player for Gear 7, it's like, okay, what are the decks that are winning? I'm going to use my Gear 1 and 2 mastery, you know, my Gear 1 and 2 expertise, and I am going to completely make a list, a deck, that is a rogue deck that can take on anything in the format. And I didn't explain what rogue was last video. I do apologize. A rogue deck means it's a deck that no one saw coming, right? Rogues are like from the shadows, right? That's the idea. We'll talk about that. The architect is something I resonate with the most. And typically speaking, an architect will have one specific gear that they call home. Like, for example, for me, I'm a control player. But I'm also a Gear 7 innovator style player with the architect mentality, where I want to make my own style of control deck, if that makes sense. Well, okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up now that we're approaching close to 20 minutes. What are you looking forward to the most, you know, out of all these gears? Which gears do you think you're going to have the highest level with? Do you think you're an expert in Gear 3? You know, I know I haven't got there yet, but, like, what do you expect from it? And guys, please, if I missed anything, please don't be afraid to leave comments in the comment section below, or help me out wherever you see I messed up. You know, I do appreciate when you guys comment and when you guys help me out. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. And please don't forget to join the Discord if you want to hang out and join the community where we just talk about One Piece all the time on the Discord. It's a great little community, and it's growing, so that's always nice. And all right, guys, that's about it. Until next time, guys. Peace.